Hey everyone, Nick here again, back to talk about The Walking Dead. This is a video that I've been wanting to make for a while. It's about the level of hatred that Daryl has been getting this season. And about how I think it's gone too far and I think it's a little unwarranted, and how at this point I think it's time to move on, if nothing else. So I wrote down a lot of notes on my phone for this one, so this might be a longer video than usual. But yeah, Daryl doesn't deserve the sheer amount of hatred that he's been getting, and the passion behind said hatred. Like, it's too much. It's very unfair, unwarranted, and honestly, I think it's gotta stop. People just gotta start reeling it in. And it's because everyone still blames him for Glenn's death. Because he got up, he punched Negan, and in retaliation, Negan killed Glenn. Now, I mean, I'm not trying to say Daryl has no responsibility for what happened. Because, I mean, the fact of the matter is, he got up, he punched Negan. Negan said, "First one's free." But they had already used the first one when Glenn tried to charge him before. So, we all know how that ended for Glenn. But, just looking at the whole scene, it's not impossible that Negan was trying to get that reaction. Like, he was trying to trigger somebody into doing something so that he'd have an excuse to kill somebody else. I mean, like, that's kind of Negan's thing. He likes to test people to see if they're in line with what he wants them to do, and if they're not, then, you know, he introduces them to Lucille, or introduces one of their friends to Lucille. But I mean, who's to say that no one else would have died in that scene? What if there were other excuses that Negan came up with? I mean, what if Rosita had just looked at Lucille covered in Abraham's blood and brains? She couldn't look at it, and then Negan just kind of shoved it in her face, and that is what prompted Daryl to get up and punch him. I mean, what if Rosita had just looked? Daryl would have had no reason to get up and punch Negan. And also, what if Glenn didn't waste the free one when he tried to rush him in the season 6 finale? What if Rick didn't lead the slaughter at the satellite station, which resulted in probably at least 30 to 40 deaths? Like, that was just... That episode was practically a genocide of saviors. It was just brutal. I mean, there's all these what-if questions, but there's another what-if question that I don't think enough people are asking. What if Negan wasn't an evil tyrant? What if he wasn't trying to rule through fear like he is? Like, at the end of the day, that's what it all boils down to. Negan is evil. There's no other way around it. He is evil. He's an awesome character. I love watching him, but he's evil. And what I don't understand is, why does Daryl get more blame for getting Glenn killed than Negan gets for killing Glenn? That makes no sense to me. That makes absolutely no sense. Like, I can understand maybe hating both of them. Like, I can understand being mad at Daryl for a while, but, I mean, I've said before, there's really no point in hating Daryl over it, because you're not going to hate him more than he hates himself. Daryl hates himself after every bad thing that has happened on the show. He hated himself when it turned out Sophia was in Herschel's barn the whole time as a walker. He hated himself after he stopped looking for the governor, and then he showed up at the prison and destroyed it and killed Herschel and plenty of other people. He blamed himself for getting separated from Beth, and then she got killed by the cop lady. Like, no one is going to hate Daryl more than he hates himself for what happened. I mean, it's not like Daryl is just conveniently ignoring any responsibility. Like, he knows that he had a hand in Glenn's death. And it's clearly destroying him inside and outside. So I don't think it's right to just keep hating on Daryl at this point, because it's overkill. And you're not going to hate him more than he hates himself. So, I mean, you know what I think part of it is? Like, I think it's a bit of Titanic Syndrome. Like, Daryl just became so popular that everyone just decided, oh, he's too popular. Let's start picking on him. Let's start hating on him. Knock him down a peg. That's basically what happened with the James Cameron Titanic movie. Like, that movie was the highest grossing movie of all time for like 10 years. And then everyone's just like, oh god, that Titanic movie's terrible. Like, no it's not. It's a great movie. And, I mean, I'll admit, there was a time when I was on that bandwagon. Like, I liked the movie when I was a kid, but when I was a teenager, I'm like, oh yeah, Titanic, that movie's horrible, I hate it. But, you know, like, probably, like, 7 or 8 years ago or so, I rewatched the movie, I'm like, you know what, this is actually pretty good. All that hate is a little ridiculous. And to be fair, the Titanic hatred has started to reel itself in a bit. But I mean, Daryl is going through the same thing that Titanic did. Just, everyone's hating on it just because it's popular. And hating on the popular thing is the cool thing to do. Apparently. And, I mean, it's just, like, the hate Daryl gets, just like the hate Titanic got in the height of the Titanic hate, is just very ridiculous and irrational. I mean, I watch a lot of reaction compilations, and I saw, like, a few people's reactions to the scene in the most recent episode, 715, where Dwight was in the cell, the prison cell at Alexandria, and Daryl tried to charge him, and there were people like, oh my god, Daryl, you have no impulse control, like, you're so out of line here, like, just stop. I'm like, how much crap has Dwight put Daryl through? I mean, let's recap. He knocked him out in the woods, tied him up. After Daryl came back to help him, he robbed him. Then Dwight tried to kill Daryl, but killed Denise by accident. Then he tried to have all of his men shoot Daryl. And then he shot Daryl. And then, of course, everyone was there. I mean, well, not everyone, but Daryl was there in the lineup when Negan chose who to kill. And then, when Daryl got taken back to the sanctuary, Dwight was put in charge of torturing him. He left him in the cell naked with nothing but dog food sandwiches, playing Easy Street on a loop, which is that's its own bullet point, I think. And like, he taunted Daryl with the picture of Glenn's corpse with his crushed skull. If Dwight had done even one of the things to me that he did to Daryl, I'd want to beat him up too. Honestly, it would have made no sense to me if Daryl didn't try to throw himself at Dwight. I mean, for what it's worth, I don't even think Daryl would have killed him, since at the end of the cell, he did say to Dwight, like, I get why you did it. I get why you went back to Negan, because you were thinking of somebody else. Like, Daryl at least understands why Dwight is the way he is. But that doesn't mean Daryl wouldn't want to punch him, at least a little bit. But I don't think Daryl would have killed him. At worst, he would have just knocked a couple of teeth out, probably. Which, in the apocalypse, is probably a problem since there's no dentists anymore and you can't really put replacement teeth in. But, yeah. Not even Maggie blames Daryl. Like, I thought that Maggie would. I thought in some way, like, maybe they'd be fighting with each other and then Maggie would just throw it in Daryl's face that he got Glenn killed. But no, she doesn't blame him. How can you justify hating Daryl if Maggie doesn't even blame him for what happened? That makes no sense. I mean, like, well, he got Glenn killed. Glenn was part of the family. Daryl's part of the family too. He's been on the show almost as long as Glenn. Glenn first appeared in the 2nd episode. Daryl first appeared in the 3rd episode. So they're both part of the family. And, I mean, 7 seasons worth of characterization and good moments, and moments that are like, yeah, Daryl, what's up, fam? Like, that doesn't go away because you're mad at him. Okay? And to be honest, at this point, if you're using Glenn's death as a reason to hate Daryl, you're insulting Glenn's memory. You are, because that's not what Glenn would have wanted. Like, Daryl was one of Glenn's closest friends. Like, he'd been with him longer than most of the other people on the show. Like, I mean, Glenn's known Daryl longer than he's known Maggie. I'm not trying to imply that Glenn loved Daryl more than Maggie, but, you know, I mean, more than he loved Maggie. But still, he's known Daryl forever. They're friends. They've saved each other plenty of times. They've always had each other's backs, even though at first, yeah, Daryl was mildly racist towards him, but, you know, once Daryl got away from Merle's influence, he stopped being racist. So, I mean, yeah, it's just, that's not what Glenn would have wanted. Glenn would have wanted you to keep hating on one of his best friends in the apocalypse. That's not his way. So stop using Glenn's death to justify that. It's time to move on. Like, yes, Daryl did have a hand in Glenn's death, but there's no guarantee that no one else would have died in that scene anyway, because Negan very well might have been trying to prompt that reaction, or any reaction out of somebody. It's time to move on, and it's time to focus on the real enemy. Negan. Negan killed Glenn. Negan killed Abraham. Negan killed Spencer. Negan ordered Olivia killed. Negan kidnapped Daryl and Eugene and Sasha. Negan is the bad guy here. Okay? Not Daryl. Negan's the enemy. Don't let what happened tear the Walking Dead family apart. Otherwise, Negan wins. So yeah, that's all I have to say. I think that it's time to just move on. Anyone who's still maintaining that it's all Daryl's fault and that he's the worst thing on the show now, just, you know, at this point it's on you. Stop saying that it's Glenn's death. Alright? It's just you wanting an excuse to hate the most popular character on the show. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. I'll see you next time.